So guys, it looks like the 3-month wait is finally over as we finally got the answer to the question we've had since the end of December. As you all remember, back in December, Atlus dropped us a new trailer, revealing a project going by the name of Persona 5R. Even then, the trailer was very vague, it only showcased us a date. That left everybody speculating and wondering, what in the world could this new project be? Could it be Persona 5 Rumble, Persona 5 Racing, Persona 5 Ruby, or even Persona 5 Ronald McDonald, the one we've all been waiting for. But it seems now our tinfoil hat theories can be put to rest since Atlus delivered their promise, and in the end of March, we found out just what Persona 5R was. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, the new project is titled Persona 5 The Royal. Unfortunately, it seems we're gonna have to wait just a bit longer to see what exactly this means for the series, but that's not all we got in this trailer. There's one more tidbit in this trailer that makes everyone lose their minds.
Hito助けは素晴らしいことだと思います。けど、どちらかというと好きじゃないですね。怪盗団のやり方は本当の世直し、人助けになってない気がするんです。それを解決するのって最終的に本人じゃなきゃいけない気がするんです。
That's right, guys, and in the center of all this suspense, we have ourselves a mystery female. A female who a lot of people have already theorized will be the new female protagonist. As you guys remember, back in Persona 3 Portable, we also had a female protagonist. So since we've seen this girl in the center of this trailer, the main focus, everyone assumes that this is going to be the new female protag, which is a nice thought. I myself would love a new female protagonist, but as great as it sounds, there are some details that may go against that claim. And today, we're going to talk about the possibilities that Persona 5 Royal can bring to us. What is up everyone, Conixis here, and welcome to something a little bit new. I know we usually do the gameplays, but today I wanted to mix things up to see how you guys fare with a slight change in content. We'll go back to our normal, everyday memes and gaming later, but for today, let's actually try to have a discussion on one of my favorite series. So, the video will basically be speculation about what Persona 5 The Royal will have to offer us, what's going to be coming, what could it mean, things like that. Crackpot theories, or tinfoil theories, things like that, you know what I mean. But pretty much we're just going to be discussing that. We'll be exploring a couple possibilities as we analyze the trailer to see what may be the possible outcome, what this new female will bring for us, all those kind of things. We'll then end it off with some thoughts and my hopes for the upcoming game. So without further ado, let's get into it. So as I stated before, back in December, Atlus released the first trailer for Persona 5R. So many thoughts and speculations came from the trailer, seeing as this has been the first time in quite a while that we got anything news related to Persona 5. With it being 2 years since the original release of Persona 5, and the only thing that came out since then was the DLC game, Dancing and Q2, you could see why everyone was going crazy over this new trailer. And finally, as they promised in March, we finally got the answer to what this trailer meant, in the form of a girl. Although the trailer didn't show off much, many have already got their minds set on what this could possibly mean. And if you're one of them, that probably might be female protagonist. Tell me, is it female protagonist what you thought when you first saw the trailer? Because I can't blame you. When I watched it at first, even I thought that it was going to be a female protagonist. That is until I took another look at the trailer and noticed a small detail that kinda puzzled me a bit. So if we take a look at the trailer, you can see this little patch on our mysterious lady's blazer, that being a symbol with a 1 in it. Now, if you know Persona 5, these little symbols represent a year students in Shujin Academy. As we all know, our protagonist Ren, or Akira, has the number 2, seeing as he's a 2nd year, but our mysterious girl here has a 1, meaning she's a 1st year. Now, this may not mean much to those who are dead set on the idea of a female protagonist, but I do find it odd that all our protagonists up to this point, even Persona 3 Portable's female protag, which, may I add, am I the only one who thinks they kind of look similar? Anyways, am I the only one who thinks that it's odd that all our protagonists from Persona 1 to 5 have been second-year students? Well, except Persona 2's protag, who was a third year, but still, my point stands that they've all been upperclassmen and not just starting out. Now, with this information, it just seems a bit, well, odd that they'd have our new protag be a year back from everyone else. Well, you know, except Futaba, who would also be a first year at the time, but it just begs the question of why wouldn't she be able to be in the same year of Ren/Akira? Like, what's different about her situation that would tie into her school year? Fortunately, these questions wouldn't be able to be answered without further information about our new mystery girl. Then again, there possibly may not be a reason and Atlas just randomly decided to set her back a year. Don't know why they would do that, but hey, as I said, there's no way we can fully know without receiving more information. There isn't any reason why a first year can't be a protag to my knowledge. Like, I see no problem with it, but it does make you wonder what the point of setting her back was, like, if you could just leave her in the same year. But that small detail alone isn't why I theorized that our mystery girl isn't in fact a female protag. There are also contents within the trailer that point to this as well. When the trailer begins, we hear a voice that may be familiar if you played the game with the Japanese dub. I, on the other hand, played with the English, so I had to compare them a bit, but I'm certain it's a match, that voice belonging to our very own pancake boy himself, Goro Akechi. Akechi starts off by asking our girl, "What do you think of the Phantom Thieves?" Our mystery girl then replies with, "I mean, helping people is good, but to be honest, I don't care for them." Now, with that line alone, most people may chalk it up as, well, she doesn't have anything to do with the Phantom Thieves. She doesn't even like them. Well, that could be true, but she could also be saying that to not draw attention to herself if she were a Phantom Thief. It's the next bit that actually makes me doubt her involvement with the group, at least as the leader. Our mystery girl goes on to say, their methods aren't really helping people or changing the world, because in the end, the only one who can fix your problems is you. And pretty much, this is just a rough translation, but I've seen others that are similar. One of her saying, "I think that helping people is a great thing, however, I don't like the Phantom Thieves. I don't think their method actually helps people, nor helps the world become a better place. In the end, people have to solve their problems on their own, I think." And it's kind of the same, like every translation that I've seen so far, they're very similar, and it just pretty much the beginning is her showing that she doesn't really care for the Phantom Thieves or doesn't really like them, and then the second part of her statement, it just shows that she thinks people have to fix their problems on their own. So however you want to interpret this one, it's up to you. Either way, it's about the same no matter where I've looked for people translating it, so we'll just stick with the first one I went through since it'll be simpler and to the point. Now, with this bit, it makes it very hard to believe she's on the side of the Phantom Thieves. She seems to have a strong stance against them, to be associated with them as an ally or even the leader, but again, the argument could be made that she's playing it off so she doesn't look suspicious. It's a possibility, but the way she presents this just makes me think otherwise. That we don't have a female protagonist, but quite the opposite. We may even have a new antagonist on our hands. Now, I only say she may be an antagonist due to how she seems to resent the Phantom Thieves. She seems to have a strong opinion saying their methods are wrong and only the person themselves can solve their own problem. With that in mind, we can either take it as she knows what the Phantom Thieves are actually doing and disapproves, or she's stating their methods are wrong in general without any actual knowledge of how they work. If I were to take a guess, I'd say it's the latter, because I don't get the vibe she's watching them from the shadows or anything like that, but I do believe she may have some sort of interest in them, even though she says she doesn't. From her statement, what I believe is that our mystery girl is someone who has more than likely led a difficult life, a life which she had to do everything in her power to get where she is, and while doing so, she had no one to rely on, no one to help her in her time of need, no one to turn to or give her the push to make change. So, with all that, she had to take it on all by herself, and because of this, she developed the mindset of, The only one who can fix your problem is you. She's not like Akira or Ren and the others who helped each other throughout their binds. She unfortunately had to take on her issues alone. So now, imagine being in her situation, having to take on all your troubles alone, while this group comes out of nowhere and starts helping people. You'd feel a bit miffed as well, not that she shows hatred toward the thieves. She even mentions in the beginning that she thinks helping people is a good thing. But with her final statement, you can tell that she'd probably rather them not be a thing. She'd most likely rather people fix their own problems than rather have someone else take care of them. But again, this is all just my theory of what her mindset may be like. How she'll become an antagonist would more than likely happen later on throughout the game as we get introduced to her. My guess is she'll obtain the power of Persona and try to fight against the thieves to stop them from changing society so people can try and help themselves. Or it is quite possible that she may turn from antagonist to ally after some convincing. We'll have to wait and see what fate has in store for our new girl. There's also a chance she may end up like... I know no one's gonna like this answer. Well, not a lot of people. I know some people do like her, but a lot of people don't. But there is a chance that she can end up like Marie. But bear with me. I don't mean in terms of being linked to the final villain or anything like that. I mean in terms of a social link that could also tie in with her being an antagonist. Something similar to Adachi, to where down the road you'll have to make a game-changing choice like the Mr. Accomplice ending in Persona 4 Golden, something along those lines. So in her case, it would be for her to choose whether she accepts the Phantom Thieves or if she rejects them, and that can lead to a crazy outcome later on. It's hard to tell what role our mystery female will play. She'll obviously have some link to the Phantom Thieves, whether it be by becoming one herself or fighting against them, and there is still the chance that she could just be a female protag, but for me at least, that answer seems less likely now that I look over things more. I do believe at least in some way she'll be a new social link. Depending on said link will determine her role. As we know, the Lust/Jester Arcana and the Aeon Arcana aren't present in Persona 5, so there's a chance she could claim one of those, but I've been thinking about it, and it could even be possible for an Arcana shift to happen, in such where Akechi changes to the Lust/Jester, and she gains the Justice Arcana. I at least feel it would be fitting because my interpretation of her is that she believes in what's right for people, but only if they're willing to make the change themselves. And if we take a look at the meaning for the Justice Arcana, it states that the Justice Arcana symbolizes a strict allegory of justice, objectivity, rationality, and analysis. With her strong stance on the Phantom Thieves method being bad and that people should help themselves, I feel like in some sort of way, she believes in a somewhat, like, it's kind of like Akechi in a sense, like, well, I don't know if Akechi, I'm pretty sure Akechi was faking it because he was, we'll get to Akechi in a second, but, like, she believes helping and things like that are good. She believes that people should solve their own problems, though, not have someone do it for them. So I feel that's why she'd probably fit the Justice Arcana pretty well. And then take the Lust and Jester Arcana. It stands for the danger of losing control, of being consumed by power. The card also implies strength, but strength which comes through dominance. It is not true power, but the pure bliss of abusing power, which, in my opinion, perfectly describes Akechi, someone who obtained power and used it for his own gain. Driven by his thoughts of revenge on Shido, he abused his power to make himself popular and gain Shido's trust, even going as far as to try and kill Akira/Ren in order to enact his revenge on Shido. So the thought of them shifting arcanas like that would be an interesting and understandable move. But again, this is just my thoughts and opinion. Like, that's just my theory on what could possibly be in store for our female. Now that we discussed that, I think we've covered about every base we can with our mystery female. She either A, gonna be a protag, B, gonna be a social link, or C, she might just be an antagonist. Who knows at this point, but we'll probably find out in the month that we have to wait for the new information. But let's take a look at the bigger picture. Persona 5 the Royal itself. In my thoughts, I think there are two possibilities for the Royal. It's either going to be a remake with additions such as our lovely mystery girl, and more than likely new events and scenes, or B, it could be a side story or a sequel to Persona 5. Since a remake is the obvious answer, let's go over that first, since it should be a really quick topic to discuss. So, to start it off, we all know that it's not unnatural for Atlus to remake a Persona title. Seeing as we have Persona 3 FES, Persona 3 Portable, and Persona 4 Golden, remakes are a natural occurrence in the Persona franchise. Even if they don't get the Persona remake they want, because a lot of people are screaming for 1 and 2, but hey, what I'm pretty much saying here is it'd be no surprise if that's exactly what we get. We already know one of the additions, but who knows what else they might decide to throw in the game. New palaces, new teammates, extended school days like in Persona 4 Golden, a chance to see a second Persona evolution like in Golden. It's unknown what additions they may add to this remake. There are suggestions I have, but we'll get to that in my final thoughts. As for the chance of it not being a remake, I feel that's pretty low. After all, Persona 5 was, like I said, released 2 years ago in September, and it'll be 3 coming this September, so for them to make a remake after all this time, and especially with how popular the series has become, I feel like it'd be a good move, and a pretty obvious one, you know? And that's pretty much my thoughts on the chances of a remake. As I said, it just seems like a good move on their part since it's almost been 3 years since the original release of Persona 5, so for them to make a remake and probably boost graphics, add new scenes and things like that, it seems like a good move on their end. I'd enjoy it. I don't know about anyone else, but I have no problem with a remake. If they can add more to it and make it even more enjoyable, I say let them. Persona 5 was a solid and great game, so if you can make it even better, go for it. But let's discuss the chance of it being a sequel or a side story. I would feel strongly about this option, but there are quite a bit of contradictions to make this story hold less water. So let's start off on some positives so we can get the ball rolling. Like remakes, Atlus have released sequels and side stories to the Persona franchise. From what I've seen, people say that Persona 2 Eternal Punishment is the sequel to Innocent Sin, but I've unfortunately not checked the earlier Persona series as of yet, so I cannot fully confirm this. But everywhere I look, that's what everyone is saying, so I'm gonna roll with this information. If you have played the earlier one, you can tell me this, but I haven't played 2, so I don't know if it truly is a sequel or not, but everyone is saying it is. But I do know that Persona 3 FES is not only a remake, but it's technically a sequel as well, since its new added mode, The Answer, takes place after the events of Persona 3. But if you want to go further, Persona 4 Arena and Ultimax takes place after the events of Persona 4 as well, so in a sense, they can be considered sequels as well. Along with that, Persona 4 Dancing All Night also takes place after the events, landing it as a sequel as well. Unfortunately, Persona 5 Dancing and Persona 3 Dancing are dreams, so they're technically non-canon. But most people would probably consider Persona 4 Dancing a side story, but it continues the timeline, so therefore it is a sequel and in the next installment of it, so it has to be counted as canon continuation. Now, in the sense of side stories, that would leave the Persona Q series, along with Persona 3 and 5 Dancing. We know that Persona Q takes place during the events of the main story, rather than after, making it a side story. And from what we can tell in the dancing games, it seems that they would have to take place during the main story as well, seeing as there would be a lack of a protagonist by the end of the game, and since during the dancing games they don't seem to show any surprise to the protagonist being there, it would say that they're still present in the current timeline, so my guess is they're taking place somewhere during the story. So the question is, what does the Royal fall under? Well, that's kind of difficult to gauge. As I stated, there are quite a few contradictions which would make it difficult for this to be a sequel, and the chance of it being a full game but a side story doesn't seem too likely, since they'd probably be able to incorporate it into the main game instead of making a whole new one. The only reason I'd see them making a whole new game that takes place during Persona 5 is if it's a full game and it solely focuses on our female, and then she could be a female protagonist because the game is about her instead of Joker and the others. But my guess is they'd still have some role to play in the game, so I'm not sure that would be likely. I'm not saying they couldn't make a full side story game, but for something like Q, the heroes are taken to a world where time wouldn't advance normally like it would in their own world, allowing them to spend as long as they want there dealing with the problem at hand and not affecting the main story. But from the looks of the trailer, it seems like we're still in Persona 5's natural setting, therefore, time would advance normally, and though you do have downtime between heists, I'm unsure where they'd be able to stick this scenario. It would obviously be before Sai's palace, seeing as if it were after the fact, Akira/Ren would be in hiding from his fake death. It'd be an odd time for such an event involving our mystery girl to appear. Not only that, but by that point, all of our Phantom Thieves would be assembled. Seems odd for them to have such an event and only include a few of our main characters. This seems more like something that would take place along the events of the Persona 5 rather than just at a certain point, which fuels the possibility of it being a side game, but at the same time, I don't know. I just don't know if they'd really make a full side game, and it's possible, but it's just, I'm uncertain. I'm like teetering on that option, because I feel it would be interesting to have a whole separate game that takes place during the events of 5, but it's not 5. But who knows? So the chances of this being a standalone side story are pretty much little to none, since it is possible that they could just add it into Persona 5, but who knows? We'll have to wait and see for that. Alright, so now let's talk about the chance of it being a sequel instead, which, well, as I said, there are contradictions to this being a sequel, making it very unlikely, but let's begin. Some of these things are actually present within the trailer itself, so let's start off with the first issue, which, funnily enough, they're the first person to speak. That's right, back to our pancake boy himself, Goro Akechi. If this were to be a sequel, he's a big issue in that thought, seeing as when you're nearing the end of Shido's palace, Akechi sacrifices himself to let you escape. It's unclear whether he's completely dead or in hiding, but seeing as Futaba states that she can no longer sense him, and in the end of the game, people question what happened to him, I think it's safe to assume he's dead. If this were to be a sequel, Akechi couldn't be present to question our mystery girl, making that only one of the many issues with this theory. The second problem is within Akechi's statement as well. He asked our mystery girl what she thinks of the Phantom Thieves, which in itself is a problem as well, seeing as in the end of the game we get rid of the metaverse, causing the disbandment of the Phantom Thieves. You could make the argument that it could be asked toward our popularity, but I don't think that's the case. What I believe is the Phantom Thieves are currently active when this question is asked, seeing as by the end of the game our popularity seems to have died down since we ceased operations, so this question seems a little out of place by that point. After going quiet for quite some time, I doubt the Phantom Thieves hype would stay up for too long, which leads us into our next issue. So let's just say we ignore the fact that there being no metaverse. Let's say we somehow find a way to continue being Phantom Thieves. Another issue this would bring up is, why is Ren/Akira back? Sure, he's free to return and visit his friends, but after going home only to return shortly after seems just a bit jarring. Like, why would he be back so soon? And I doubt the Phantom Thieves would continue on without their leader present, seeing as they can't fucking survive when you die in a dungeon. But hey, it just seems unlikely that he'd go home to quickly return. So with the lack of Akira or Ren there, there wouldn't be any Phantom Thieves. So with all these facts present, it doesn't look plausible for this to be a continuation of the story, seeing as there are too many factors to argue against. And I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking, well, Conixis, those points can be countered as well. And yes, you're absolutely right. Let's take, for instance, Akechi. We could go and say that maybe the interview with Akechi took place before the end of the game, thus allowing our girl to actually have this interview with him. and maybe this is just a flashback of her in the interview. There's also the metaverse. You could argue that maybe there's a new metaverse or a new way to get to the metaverse, and that would be fine as well. But we're assuming that our new girl is going to have something to do with the Phantom Thieves, and we can't explain Akira/Ren's disappearance since he goes home. So that's one of the points we just can't really explain without saying, well, he just came back, but why did he come back? How long is this going to be after the fact of the game? But who knows? I mean, if it's that long that it would be appropriate for him to come back, then my guess is the Phantom Thieves' popularity would be gone by then. I don't know what she'd have to do with them by that point, so it just seems a bit odd. So it's just difficult to try and argue that this could be a sequel when there's just too many odd factors in it. Why would Akira/Ren be back? What brought the metaverse back? You know, things like that. Like, maybe there's a new metaverse, but why? Like, I mean, yes, it would be explained in the story, but at the same time, it doesn't seem very likely that this will just be an actual sequel, and more in the hand, it falls on the fact that it'll probably be a side story. If anything, it'll be a side story. And if they make a full game side story, then that'll be even more interesting, but who knows? We'll just have to wait until the actual product has been released. And that basically wraps up my little theory moment for the entire The Royal trailer, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. But now that we can take off our tinfoil hats, let's talk about some of my hopes for the upcoming game. So, in my opinion, Persona 5 was a pretty solid game, like I said before. There's probably glitches and other things that could be fixed, but as far as I can tell, I never ran into any, so maybe everyone else can speak up on that end, but as far as I can tell, it was pretty solid, so I can't think of any fixes, per se, but I can think of some suggestions. One thing being, the sneaking mechanic was always a tad bit odd to me. An enemy could see you, but if you were to hide the second they notice, they treat it like it's nothing. As if, like, you were just never there. They'd be like, but, oh, no, I didn't see anything. Now that was nothing. But, you know, like that. Like, I know as you up the difficulty, the enemy's awareness becomes better, but it feels odd when the enemy is staring right at you, even though you're hiding. They're like right in your face, but they don't attack you. I feel that they should, you know, tweak it a bit so the sneaking mechanic could be a bit more interesting, you know, make you think about the spots you choose to hide in. Another suggestion would be more team building events / romance events. Like, I know people sometimes are like, oh, people who play this or that stuff are fucking dumb. It's like, no, I'm not saying it's very important, but what I mean is, like, for them to have an event where the whole team, like, you know, bonds and has fun. Like in Persona 4 Golden, we had the skiing trip. We never really had an event where everyone, you know, had fun. Like, everyone, including Haru. You know what I'm saying. You know, you all know what I'm saying. Like, we all went to the beach. That was a good scene. That was great. But we never actually had an event with Haru. We had a party, but it got ruined when Haru's father had a mental shutdown, so you know what I'm saying. It'd be nice to have an event or two with the whole team bonding together and, you know, having fun. Just that kind of thing. And this is where the romance comes into play. When I say romance, there's kind of only a couple of events where the romance, like whoever the MC chooses, it'll be mentioned. There's Hawaii, there's Christmas, there's Valentine's Day, and then there's the school festival if you're dating by then, but can't be Haru because you can't date her by that point. And the other thing is the marriage conversation when you're studying. But other than that, it just seemed like the whole romance thing wasn't touched up on in this game. Which is fine, like I'm saying, like the romance isn't all that important. I mean, it's a good little extra tidbit to add into it, like it's a good little extra fun thing to go and do and all, but I just feel like a little bit more could have been added to it. Like, take for instance in Persona 4 or Persona 3, while you're in a dungeon, if you're dating somebody, if you talk to them, they will get flustered, and I found that to be very funny. Like, it doesn't have to be a big out there thing, but just the small details. I appreciate the small details. So I just feel like maybe it could be poked fun at. Like, even during like Persona 4 Golden, like the fireworks thing, like you can say you went with somebody and like you and the person get a little embarrassed when they talk about being alone on that day, and it's like just the little things. It's just funny when their relationship is poked at. But like I said, it's not really that important. I just like small details like that popping up. It's just little, ooh, like, ooh, little poke at that. I like that, you know, that sort of thing. So another thing I would like to suggest is to, you know, flesh out Akechi's social link, maybe. You know, just flesh it out a bit. You know what I'm talking about. Like, let's really talk about this for a second. Akechi's social link felt so forced to me. Like, and it wasn't even because I just disliked him. It literally just felt forced. With it being an automatic social link, each time it ranked up, I never felt like I got close to him. I just felt like they ranked it up just because, oh, story, so have another rank with him, and it's like, but I talked to this man for a second. I really did not like how he was an automatic social link. Like, it just felt like I know it was so we can boost him, so he can, it just didn't feel like a natural, like, friendship, even though it wasn't really a friendship. Like, it just felt really, really forced. Like, Akechi would say 3 words to me, and it'd be a rank up. I never felt like it was a connection between me and him. Like, I never felt like him and Akira/Ren ever actually connected. I felt like Akechi talked at him, and then it just ranked me up. I just found his social link very, very forced. If possible, can we please flesh it out to make me possibly have a reason to actually like him? Like, I don't know, man. I feel like it could have been done better. Like, literally, you don't even have to try and he ranks up, because I know it's an automatic social link, but you don't feel a connection or a bond or anything. You just feel like this is a thing that's happening and I kind of have to deal with it. And I felt like that not only because I hated him, but because it was forced. Everyone can agree with it. It was forced. We never even hung out. Come on, we could have had a little time where we just went out and had a fucking hot dog or something, like anything, but nope. So, if anything, if we can flesh out Akechi a bit more, I'd like that. And speaking of like, this is more of a personal preference, but can there be like some not so serious events after Haru's like dad's dungeon? Because everything picked up after her dungeon and she just got thrown to the background, and I feel so bad for her. Give that girl some more screen time. Like, come on. Haru's such a precious thing. And like, the minute like after we had the whole team up with Akechi, Sai's Palace, get arrested, it's like we had no time to actually get to know Haru, and I feel bad about that. Like, you know, she went on the whole depression because her dad fucking died. So it's like, can we have like at least like 2 extra non-very important palaces in between Haru's thing, so we can get to know her and have like an event with her? Like I said, team building event, that kind of thing. Like, with Haru included, please. Like, I just want to get to know Haru more because she seems like a nice character, but she gets shoved to the background, and I never actually got to start to her link until I was in hiding, and it was like, damn, man. Like, come on. Like, just a little bit. Maybe just throw in, like, some new palaces, something that's not major to the story, but that gives us time to hang out with Haru. You know what I mean? That's all I'm asking for. And another thing, which I'm certain everyone will agree with me on, if you decide to bring back DLC Atlas, can you please make it so we don't have to repurchase the DLC we did for Vanilla 5 if it's going to be the same stuff in there? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to have to spend that much money again when I just bought like, I'm buying the game again, technically, if it's a remake. So why do I have to buy the DLC I bought again? Can you just convert that DLC to perk. So like if you bought the DLC, you automatically will have it in the new game, like something along those lines, because like $20 each for like your dancing DLC packs. Each pack, Atlas, was $20. The hair accessories, the songs, like everything was $20. Can we not do that again? So all I'm asking is, me who bought all the Persona 5 DLC, can you convert that to the new one instead of having me purchase it all over again? That's all I'm asking. But I hope you can. And this is added in, but can you also put Dancing in Moonlight outfits in as well for the dancing? Like I said, I suggested in Persona 5 dancing, but I think that would be a good addition, like to throw in those outfits as well. Since the game's out, you can just throw them in. But hey, I'll leave it up to you, but I'd rather you focus on the converting DLC more than the dancing outfits. That's fine. I'll pay for the dancing outfits, but the other DLC, I want it converted because I don't want to pay for that again. Oh boy. And finally, to wrap up this mess of a video, if our mystery girl does become a social link or teammate, I do hope she has a fleshed out story and not just another Marie link. Like, don't get me wrong, guys. You know I love Marie, but I can admit she's kind of lazily added in. You know, typical tsundere, the typical connected to main villain, everyone likes her, that kind of Mary Sue thing. I mean, I like Marie, but you can't ignore the fact that there are those traits about her. So, like, what I'm saying is, I don't want her to be another Marie social link. And by what I mean, like I said, Marie's great. If you make her a Mary Sue or whatever, that's fine. I don't really care that much as long as you don't do it overly Mary Sue. But what I mean by a Marie social link is you can ignore Marie the whole entire time, and if you do that, once she disappears, that's it. The game will continue like normal. You don't have to go save her. You can just continue the game and it'll be like Vanilla 4. So I don't want that kind of thing. I don't want it to be a point where we can ignore our new girl to the point where she'll just become obscurity and nothing, and it'll be like she was never there to begin with. I wanted to have at least some kind of impact into the story, or some kind of impact in the Phantom Thieves' lives, like something. Not to the point where the game will just convert back to its old self the minute you ignore her for this long, or something like that. Like, I want her to have some purpose. You know what I'm saying? But that's just me. I just don't want it to be another optional social link that's, well, if you ignore her, well, the game continues like it did before. So yeah, that's all I'm asking. And that's basically it, guys. I hope you really enjoyed this video. It's weird making a video like this because I had to write down my thoughts and everything and get it in order, and even then it was still a mess. Most of my lines are improv of what I've written, and I don't know, some of it sounds better and some of it I can't tell, but I hope you did enjoy this. This was new to me. I haven't written scripts or anything like that to, you know, go over, so I can remember, oh, my thoughts for this, I'll do this and that. It feels weird. I'm the free balling kind of guy, but I know if I did this free balling, I'd be repeating 90 points over and over again. So I hope you do enjoy this. And if you did, hit the thumbs up button, save it to your favorites, and also share it with your friends. This has been Conixis. You can follow me on Twitter, the link is in the description below. Thank you all for watching. Let me know your thoughts and comments about our theories and what you think Persona 5 The Royal will have to offer to us. Thank you all for watching. I love you all, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye, everyone.